Hello everyone, welcome to the presentation of Unit 3 of MJM024 Media Literacy. We begin our interaction with the media at a very early age, and the relationship strengthens as years go by. New media and messages make an inroad into our everyday existence and leave an imprint on our minds. The all-encompassing prevalence of media makes it imperative that we learn the language of media and learn how to derive meaning out of all its messages. Just as computer education became necessary to be a part of the literate world, media literacy is now equally important. Media literacy involves learning to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in a variety of forms. We need to understand media literacy as a wholesome education, which is more about helping audiences of different age group become competent, critical, and literate in all media forms so that they are able to make meaning of all that they see or hear rather than letting the medium to control their thinking. Media literacy empowers you to understand the media, the rationale of media, the reasons for messages, the implication of visual images, and the economics of the media industry. You will be capable of not only finding the answers to your questions from the media but also raise pertinent questions when required. Media literacy creates educated electorates who are able to see through the campaign strategies and are capable of critically evaluating manifestos and election speeches. The other important reason for media literacy are influence of media on our daily life. It is important that children should also be media literate and understand that Tom and Jerry are only cartoon and in real life one can get hurt if one runs like them. Media shapes our perception of the world. Media literacy frees us from the stereotypes created by the images projected at us. Media is urban and elite-oriented, but the society is not. In our real lives, we have to work hard for a living, and in our films and television serials, life is depicted to be very rosy. Media literacy helps us to see the difference. Technology changes the look of the world every day. Media products flood at the market and change the way people read, talk, write, and understand. A media literate person is able to follow the media as per his or her individual requirement and is not led by the diktats of the market. Media literacy as an area of education must explore the nature and influence of media and media messages in our culture. As far as our culture is concerned, the media no longer only influences it, but it already a part of it. Media literacy therefore helps us understand our culture. Media literacy does not intend to create critiques of media system or the society. It, however, does intend to create a media consumer who is capable of making wise decisions and is not unintentionally influenced by the media. Media literacy involves critically analyzing the media only when you have thoroughly understood the meaning behind the messages. Media literacy aims to help you look at the media experience from multiple perspectives, which would include your own educated opinion about media messages. Media literacy does not tell you to not interact with the media. It only teaches you to interact carefully, think critically, and understand intelligently. In order to understand the process of media literacy, it will be useful to revisit the models of communication process. Who or the communicator who can use the media system to send forth their messages. What is the message that is being sent forth by the medium? It is influenced by many factors and may not be error-free. Channel refers to the medium being used. Each medium has its own characteristics and the nature of the message changes. To whom refers to the consumers of media products, and with what effect implies the repercussions of the message. The process is not simple as it appears, so let us understand it in the context of media literacy. The process will also help you to look at the messages coming from the media with a new perspective. Biases and prejudices can be reorganized and treated likewise. We can read between the lines. The intent of the sender becomes clear. The media and the media channels are understood from the messages they send forth and also how they do it. We understand the ideology of a media organization that brings out the messages, and we understand our society better. The fact that you have learned how to read the media messages will also help you write in a better format. You will be able to organize your thoughts, draft your text, add images or sound, edit and present the final message. The core concept of media literacy challenges the premises of mere consumption of media messages. It postulates that if we do not ask questions about media messages and media products, we will not be able to distinguish between beneficial and harmful messages. We will try to understand each concept one by one. All media messages are constructed. Whenever we received any message from any of our media, we need to realize the fact that the message has been designed by somebody for us. We tend to believe that the news being shown is the most important event of the day, and that is why it is on television. News is different from the event. An event has to be worthy of becoming news, and for this, it goes through a news process of news selection and gathering by a news organization. It should be therefore have specific qualities to qualify as news. From the diagram, it will be clear that news is a narrative prepared by the media person for the audience. A limited number of events from all the events in the world, selected by reporters on the basis of news values, written in an inverted pyramid giving clear priorities, elements of interest added to it such as photos, tables, graphs, line drawings, etc. appears as a news story in our media. Audience or readers believe it is the most important event of the day. The question here arises, will you be able to consume media messages with an understanding that all media messages are constructed? Messages are constructed using creative language. A news story on television is a narrative of the event we have already seen. This comes to us along with the use of multimedia elements. These elements are moving pictures, that is video, and sound. The camera acts as our eyes. It decides what we should see. We see the world through the eyes of the camera. The music in messages gives us the cue to laugh or cry, and the medium tells us that this is a sad story and you should feel bad. If we could understand the language of the medium, we would not be so naive and yet be able to appreciate the messages. Different people experience the same media message differently. Each individual understands the media messages on the basis of his or her own uniqueness. When we understand media messages, we see them through the prism of perception. Our level of interest, previous knowledge, stereotypes in our heads, values and culture all play a part in understanding the message. The message, therefore, is not just constructed by the sender, but is also constructed by the receiver. Media have embedded values. We have seen that media messages are part of reality constructed by media persons. But are the messages totally free of bias? The news gathering process involves the reporter gets a list of events. He or she decides to attend one. He or she searches out the person who will give more information about the event. He or she takes notes of the ongoing activity and returns to office. He or she writes the story. That is why it is important to understand that media are always viewpoint oriented, even when they are trying to be objective. Messages are organized to gain power. Media is a sector of economy and big media houses control everything that goes into the media. If a media house gets the audience to tune into its program day after day, it can sell space or time to the advertisers at a good rate and make profit. In a democratic country, mass media messages can be used to tilt the power equation towards the highest bidder. A well-informed user of media will apply discretion and power of judgment while exposing themselves and dear ones to these messages. He or she will critically evaluate the messages while watching or listening to them and gauge their credibility. Analyzing the text. What text type is it? What is attracting my attention? Am I able to understand the message in one reading? Analyzing audience. Why this message? Who is the intended reader? How does the message show reality? Is the message meant for me? Will everybody understand the message the way I do? Analyzing production. Who wrote this story? Why? How have the parts of the story been used? How does the placement of the story matter? Who benefits from the story? Who will be disadvantaged because of the story? Having understood the market dynamics of mass media, let us try to evaluate media messages coming from different sources. The process of evaluation would comprise understanding the background of the message, the medium used for its dissemination, interpretation arising from it, intentions and purpose. When we watch a TV program, we are also engrossed in the storytelling technique and the powerful narrative created by the visuals and the audio that we do not care much about, the deeper meaning that might have been intentionally or unintentionally been formed in our minds. the deeper meaning will eventually rest in our memory bank in the form of stereotypes. The mind is able to understand the messages as narratives and not real. Most news stories can be categorized under two categories. Base rate comprises all the information that is verifiable and specific. It could be data, illustrations, sometimes actual percentages, and sometimes generalizations such as lots, many, etc. Exemplar is episodic information that describes causes, importance, and consequences of a problem with an individualistic perspective. Studies have found that audience like to believe the exemplars more than the base rate. When they read the news stories, they understand the narrative from their own perspective and relate them to their personal lives. Activity 1. Watch a popular advertisement and analyze the following. What is being sold? How is it being sold? How is it different from other products? Are the claims verifiable? What is the character sketch and product placement like? Activity 2. Let us analyze the popular film Sholay, which most of us have seen at some point of time. Notice the character. How are they dressed? The way they speak. Are you able to identify a definite effort that has gone into creating the characters in order to make them believable? Now turn off the sound and watch the characters again. Do they seem similar to what they were last time? Are they less effective? Now turn off the video and listen to the sound. Are you able to imagine the character from the background score? Are you able to see the film in your mind? Try this exercise with an advertisement, a newscast, a news story, and you will be able to see the layers of meaning. To sum up, media literacy is education which helps audiences of different age group become competent, critical, and literate in all media forms. Thank you.